Imagine standing in the middle of a forgotten building, where the walls whisper secrets of the past, and every creak in the floor makes your heart race. What if I told you that these abandoned places aren't just relics of history, but haunted locations where the past refuses to stay buried? Tonight, we'll journey into the chilling stories of 6 abandoned places that are far from empty. They're alive with spirits still lingering in the shadows. Get ready for a ride that will make you think twice about exploring the forgotten places of the world. Abandoned places have always fascinated us. Whether it's the eerie silence, the layers of history, or the fact that they've been left to decay, these places draw us in like moths to a flame. But what if the real reason we feel such an unsettling presence in these forgotten corners of the world is that they're not as empty as they seem? From haunted hospitals and castles to ghost-infested mansions, there are stories that refuse to fade with time. In this video, we'll explore 6 of the creepiest abandoned places that are said to be home to more than just dust and rubble. You'll hear first-hand accounts from those who dared to enter and the spirits who never left. Story number 6: The Haunting of the Myrtles Plantation, USA. The Myrtles Plantation, located in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is one of the most haunted locations in the United States. Built in 1796, this beautiful southern plantation sits on a sprawling estate, filled with lush greenery and old oak trees that seem to whisper tales of the past. However, beneath its charm lies a dark history, and the plantation has long been associated with the supernatural. Known as the most haunted house in America, the Myrtles Plantation has witnessed countless ghostly encounters and paranormal events over the years. The plantation's disturbing history dates back to its earliest days, with stories of betrayal, tragedy, and murder shaping its haunted reputation. Legend has it that the plantation was built on the land of a former Native American burial ground, adding an eerie layer to its already dark history. The most well-known and chilling story surrounding the plantation is that of a woman named Chloe, who is said to haunt the property to this day. According to local legend, Chloe was a slave on the plantation, who was once loved by the plantation owner. However, after she was caught eavesdropping on private conversations, she was punished by having her ear cut off, and as a result, she sought revenge. In her desperation, Chloe allegedly poisoned a cake that was meant for the family, resulting in the deaths of 2 of the plantation owner's children. Chloe's horrific act sealed her fate, and she was hung by the other slaves as punishment for her crimes. But the tragedy didn't end there. Chloe's spirit is said to have lingered on the plantation, tormenting the living. Visitors to the Myrtles Plantation have reported seeing a ghostly figure of a woman in a green turban, believed to be Chloe, wandering the plantation's grounds. Many have claimed to hear the sound of a child's laughter and the smell of something sweet, only to discover no one is present. The most common ghostly manifestation associated with the plantation is the haunting of the mirror in the main house. The mirror, located in the entryway of the mansion, is said to contain the trapped souls of those who have died on the plantation. Several guests and staff members have reported seeing ghostly figures reflected in the mirror, only to find the room empty when they turn around. One of the most disturbing reports came from a family who visited the plantation in the 1990s. They took a photograph in front of the mirror and were shocked to discover what appeared to be the image of a woman and 2 children standing behind them. Despite the fact that the family was alone in the room, the photo showed clear, ghostly figures. The mirror's chilling effect is only one of many strange occurrences at the Myrtles Plantation. Guests have reported hearing footsteps in empty rooms, doors that open and close on their own, and the sound of whispers in the hallways. Others have claimed to feel a cold hand touch their shoulder or experience sudden drops in temperature that seem to follow them wherever they go. Some visitors have even encountered more malevolent forces, such as being pushed or shoved by unseen hands, or feeling an oppressive presence in certain parts of the house. One of the most famous paranormal investigators to visit the plantation, in the early 2000s, documented strange electromagnetic anomalies in the house. The team also captured a number of disturbing photographs, including one where an apparition seemed to materialize in front of a guest. They found that the most active areas of the plantation were the main house and the area surrounding the mirror, both of which seemed to be hotspots for ghostly activity. The stories of the Myrtles Plantation are not confined to just the mansion. The grounds surrounding the house are also believed to be haunted by the spirits of those who perished there. Guests staying in the plantation's guest house have reported hearing noises from the attic, where the remains of slaves were rumored to be hidden. The old oak trees on the plantation are said to be cursed, and many visitors have claimed to hear the sound of chains rattling in the breeze, believed to be the ghosts of former slaves. Local lore also suggests that the plantation's garden contains the graves of many of the plantation's former slaves, whose souls are said to never find rest. A more recent ghostly encounter took place during a tour of the plantation in 2010. A guest reported that she saw a man in old-fashioned clothing standing in the doorway of a room. When she went to speak with him, the figure disappeared into thin air, and the room was found to be empty when the door was opened. Numerous other visitors have reported seeing ghostly children playing on the grounds or hearing the sound of a woman weeping in the distance. One particularly disturbing tale involves the apparition of a young girl, believed to be one of the children who died from poisoning at Chloe's hands. This girl, often described as wearing a white dress, has been seen running through the halls of the plantation, her ghostly laughter echoing through the house. Another chilling encounter involves a staff member who was working late one evening. She reported hearing the sounds of children playing in the garden, but when she looked outside, she saw nothing but an empty, silent lawn. Though many of the supernatural stories surrounding the Myrtles plantation are based on local folklore, there are enough eyewitness accounts to suggest that the house is indeed haunted. Even skeptics have been forced to admit that the sheer number of paranormal events makes it impossible to dismiss the plantation's haunted reputation. Today, the Myrtles plantation operates as a bed and breakfast, offering visitors the chance to stay overnight in one of the most haunted houses in America. Guests are welcomed with the knowledge that they may encounter something they cannot explain, but they are also warned that they may not leave with a peaceful mind. Despite the spooky atmosphere, many visitors continue to flock to the plantation, seeking a glimpse of the supernatural, or perhaps hoping to communicate with the spirits that linger there. The Myrtles plantation is a place where history and the afterlife intertwine, leaving a trail of ghostly encounters and chilling experiences that continue to haunt its halls. The spirits of the Myrtles plantation remain as a dark reminder of a time gone by, when tragedy, betrayal, and loss shaped the land and the souls that still walk upon it. And while some may attempt to escape the ghosts of the past, the spirits of the Myrtles plantation are not so easily forgotten. The spirits linger, trapped in a world between life and death, waiting for the next soul to cross their path. As night falls over the plantation, the whispers grow louder, the cold air thickens, and the ghosts of the past come alive once more. Story 5: The Vanishing Village of Hauska Castle, Czech Republic. Hauska Castle, nestled in the forests of the Czech Republic, is an imposing structure that has stood since the 13th century. Built by the Holy Roman Emperor, it was originally designed as a defensive fortress, guarding the kingdom from external threats. However, what makes Hauska Castle truly terrifying is its location, built over what is believed to be a gateway to hell. The surrounding area was notorious for its strange happenings long before the castle's construction, with locals whispering about a deep pit in the ground, said to be an entrance to another realm. This pit, known as the Gateway to Hell, is the heart of the castle's dark history. The villagers surrounding Hauska reported eerie lights emerging from the pit at night, strange sounds, and the sudden disappearance of livestock. The true purpose of the castle has always been shrouded in mystery. Some historians claim that the castle was built to protect the world from the evil forces that resided within the pit. Others suggest that the castle itself was constructed as a means to keep something ancient and dangerous imprisoned. Despite its military origins, no real battles were ever fought near Hauska Castle. Instead, it became the center of strange and paranormal activity. In the 16th century, rumors began to circulate that the villagers who lived nearby had vanished without a trace. Entire families disappeared overnight, their homes left empty, and their belongings untouched. The unsettling truth behind these disappearances was never uncovered, though many suspected that the castle's dark influence had something to do with it. Some claimed that the souls of those who had ventured too close to the pit had been consumed by whatever lurked within. By the late 1800s, the castle fell into disrepair, abandoned by those who could no longer bear the haunting presence of the pit. Despite its decay, Hauska Castle remains a beacon for those drawn to its sinister reputation. In the 1990s, the Czech government began efforts to restore the castle, attracting paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers from around the world. One such investigator, a well-known medium, ventured into the castle's depths and claimed to have encountered entities that could not be explained by earthly means. He reported seeing shadows move on their own, disembodied voices calling his name, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched at all times. The most terrifying experience came when the medium approached the pit, believing he could sense a powerful, malevolent force lurking within. His equipment malfunctioned, and he reported feeling a rush of cold air, as if something had passed through him. The pit itself was said to be unnaturally deep, its bottom hidden in darkness, and the air around it thick with dread. Many who have tried to measure the pit's depth report that their equipment fails, as if the very nature of the pit is beyond the comprehension of human technology. Even the most advanced tools and instruments cannot seem to gauge its true depth or purpose. Locals have long avoided the area, with some even going so far as to say that the castle's cursed legacy still affects those who come too close. In recent years, a bizarre series of disappearances has been linked to the area around Hauska Castle. Several hikers and explorers who ventured too far into the woods surrounding the castle vanished, their last known locations always near the pit. One such case involved a group of tourists who were exploring the site during the summer of 2013. They were never heard from again, and their belongings were found abandoned near the castle, their last pictures showing nothing but shadows in the background. Rumors spread that the pit had begun to exert its power once again, drawing those who were unlucky enough to cross its path. A few investigators who have ventured into the castle claim to have encountered terrifying phenomena: lights flickering on and off, sudden drops in temperature, and voices whispering in languages they could not understand. Others have heard the sound of footsteps following them, only to turn and find no one behind them. Some even claim to have been physically touched by invisible forces, pushing them away from certain areas of the castle, particularly near the pit. The phenomenon has left many to speculate that the castle's original purpose was not to defend against invaders, but to trap something or someone inside. Some believe that the gateway is not merely a metaphor, but an actual portal to another world, one that has remained closed for centuries. According to local legend, the castle was not built for protection, but as a prison for the creature or spirit that resides within the pit. An ancient book found in the castle's library described strange rituals that were said to have been performed to seal the pit and its malevolent force inside. The book, written in an indecipherable language, contained drawings of creatures that seemed to be half human and half animal, bound by chains in the depths of the pit. Many believe these creatures are what originally caused the villagers to vanish, their presence forcing the population to flee. The question remains: what lies at the bottom of the pit, and what is the true nature of the dark force contained within? Some locals still speak of the strange disappearances that occurred over the centuries, hinting at the possibility that those who vanished were taken by the evil spirits lurking within the forest. It is said that those who approach the pit with ill intentions are the ones most likely to disappear, as though the dark force is drawn to their fear and negativity. Today, the castle is a popular tourist attraction, albeit one with a heavy sense of unease hanging over it. The government has restricted access to certain parts of the castle, particularly near the pit, though rumors abound of secret tunnels beneath the castle that lead deeper into the earth. Some people claim to have seen lights flickering from the castle windows late at night, while others hear screams carried on the wind from the direction of the pit. For those who choose to visit, the warning signs are clear: don't go too close to the pit, don't venture into the woods after dark, and never, under any circumstances, ignore the chilling whispers that fill the air. The curse of Hauska Castle is said to be eternal, its malevolent force still guarding the gateway, waiting for the next soul brave enough to cross its path. As long as the castle stands, the truth of the pit remains hidden in the shadows, a dark secret that has haunted the land for centuries. The spirits of the vanished are said to still wander the woods, waiting for others to join them in their eternal prison beneath the ground. And as night falls over the castle, the whispers of the forgotten can still be heard, carried by the wind. Silent screams that echo into the darkness. Story 4: The Silent Screams of Aokigahara Forest, Japan. Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Suicide Forest, sits at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, its serene beauty belying the darkness that lies within. For centuries, the forest has been a place of folklore, feared for its association with spirits and death. Known as Jukai, the Sea of Trees, it is a dense, sprawling forest, full of twisted paths and thick underbrush that creates an eerie silence. The forest is both enchanting and unsettling, with tall, dense trees that block out the sunlight, leaving only pockets of dim light. But beyond its beauty, Aokigahara has become infamous as a place where hundreds of people go every year to end their lives. The Japanese media has dubbed it this suicide forest, and it has earned a reputation as one of the most notorious places for those seeking to take their own lives. The number of suicides in the forest is so high that signs have been placed at the entrance urging visitors to reconsider, to contact a loved one, or call a hotline for help. Despite these efforts, the forest continues to claim lives, and the number of suicides has only increased over the years. Many of the bodies discovered within Aokigahara are found hanging from trees, while others are found deep within the thick foliage, their remains barely visible. Those who enter the forest often say that it feels different, as though the air is heavier, as if the weight of sadness and despair lingers like a tangible presence. People who have wandered too far into the forest report a sense of disorientation, feeling as though they are being drawn deeper into the woods by an unseen force. Some say that the forest seems to play tricks on your mind, making it difficult to find your way out. Others claim that they hear whispers, footsteps, or even the sounds of muffled screams carried on the wind. Locals say that the spirits of those who have died in the forest remain, lost and trapped in the labyrinth of trees. Some believe that these spirits, or yurei, are the restless souls of those who have taken their own lives, unable to move on due to the nature of their deaths. These spirits are said to haunt the forest, causing a sense of unease and dread in those who venture too close. One of the most disturbing phenomena in Aokigahara is the sound of voices, which many believe come from the spirits of the dead. Visitors to the forest often report hearing faint, disembodied voices calling their names, or seeing shadowy figures lurking between the trees. In some cases, people claim to have been followed by unseen forces, their footsteps echoing loudly behind them, but when they turn around, no one is there. There are accounts of people being led astray by the spirits, walking in circles or ending up in the same place over and over again, no matter how far they walk. Some hikers have found old, abandoned tents with strange markings, left by previous wanderers who were either too frightened to continue or had vanished entirely. In 2002, a group of tourists from abroad entered the forest and never returned. When their bodies were found, they were discovered in a remote area of the woods, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. Though there were no signs of physical harm, their minds seemed to have been overtaken by something malevolent, as though they had been driven to madness by the forest itself. Psychologists who have studied Aokigahara say that the forest's unique environment can disorient people, leading them to lose track of time and space. Some researchers suggest that the high levels of iron in the ground may interfere with people's sense of direction, making it easy to become lost. Others believe that the dense trees, which block out much of the sun, create a feeling of isolation and despair, amplifying the negative emotions that people carry with them. In recent years, the forest has become a place of pilgrimage for those interested in the supernatural, especially for those who seek to communicate with the spirits of the dead. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have visited Aokigahara, capturing strange noises, voices, and other unexplained phenomena on camera. One group, during an investigation in 2016, reported hearing footsteps behind them in a completely silent area of the forest. As they turned to look, they saw nothing but trees and shadows, yet the sounds continued, growing louder and closer. Others claimed to have encountered a dark figure lurking at the edge of their flashlight's beam, standing completely still, watching them as they pass. One of the most chilling stories comes from a photographer who spent the night in Aokigahara, capturing images of the trees and the surrounding scenery. When he developed the photographs, one image showed a figure standing in the background, barely visible, as if it had been standing just behind him. In addition to the paranormal activity, Aokigahara's history is filled with grim stories. It is said that during feudal Japan, the forest was used as a place where the elderly and infirm were abandoned, left to die in the isolation of the trees. This practice, known as ubasut, is believed to have contributed to the forest's dark reputation. Over the years, countless bodies have been found in the forest, some decomposed beyond recognition, others frozen in their final moments. Each discovery adds to the growing sense of dread that surrounds Aokigahara, as though the forest is a place where death lingers, never truly leaving. The spirits of those who have perished in the woods are said to be trapped in the forest, unable to find peace. Local legends speak of a vengeful spirit, known as the Uriai, who roams the forest, seeking to lure people into its depths. This spirit is said to appear as a shadowy figure, tall and thin, with hollow eyes and a mouth that never speaks. People who encounter this spirit often feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as though their soul is being pulled into the darkness. Though many continue to visit Aokigahara in search of adventure or closure, few are able to leave without experiencing something they can't explain. Those who have braved the forest's depths often speak of a powerful presence that seems to follow them, lingering just out of sight. Aokigahara remains a place of mystery, fear, and sorrow, a place where the line between the living and the dead is thin. It is a forest that devours the soul, leaving only emptiness behind. Visitors leave behind their footprints, but the forest claims a part of them, whispering silent screams that echo long after they have gone. As long as Aokigahara stands, its dark allure will continue to pull those seeking answers into its depths, forever bound by the spirits of the forgotten. Story 3: The Curse of the Island of the Dolls, Mexico. Tucked away in the canals of Xochimilco, Mexico, lies an eerie and mysterious place, the Island of the Dolls, or Isla de las Muñecas. This unsettling island is home to hundreds of decaying dolls, suspended from trees, hanging from branches, and scattered throughout the dense foliage. It all began in the 1950s when Don Julian Santana, the island's lone inhabitant, discovered the body of a young girl who had drowned in the canal. As a means of honoring her spirit and warding off evil, he began hanging dolls around his small hut. Soon more dolls appeared, discarded, broken, and abandoned. But it wasn't long before strange events began to unfold. Don Julian started hearing whispers in the night, and the dolls, which were once lifeless, seemed to move on their own. They swayed in the breeze, their heads turning to follow his every move. One doll was said to have a smile that grew wider every day, as if mocking him. The deeper he delved into the obsession, the more he became consumed by fear and paranoia. He believed that the dolls were possessed by the spirits of the dead, seeking vengeance for the child's tragic death. Over the years, Don Julian became more isolated, hearing voices at night, some familiar, some not. One evening, while wandering the island, he drowned in the very same canal where he had found the young girl. Locals say that he died in the same area where he had first found the body, adding to the island's grim history. But his death did not put an end to the hauntings. The dolls continued to grow in number, with new ones mysteriously appearing overnight, always in worse condition, their faces now twisted and contorted. Visitors report hearing the dolls whispering their names or giggling when no one is around. Some claim that the dolls blink and shift positions when observed, while others say they felt cold hands grasping their ankles. One tourist snapped a picture of a doll only to notice later that the doll's eyes were open in the photo, even though they had been closed moments before. Another visitor heard a soft voice saying, "Take me with you," while exploring the island, but no one was near him. The unsettling atmosphere of the island has attracted countless urban explorers and thrill seekers, many of whom leave terrified and shaken. Those who spend the night report strange occurrences, from the feeling of being watched to hearing footsteps behind them in the dark. Some visitors even claim they've been touched by the dolls, feeling their cold, plastic hands brush against their skin. One woman who visited with a group said she woke up in the middle of the night to find a doll lying beside her, its head turned to stare directly at her. Fearing the worst, she fled the island in the early hours of the morning, never to return. The dolls, now covered in layers of dust and cobwebs, are believed to be vessels for the spirits of the dead. There are those who believe that the island is cursed, and that the dolls serve as a gateway to the other side. They say that anyone who disturbs the dolls or takes one from the island will suffer a curse, something sinister that follows them home. In 2001, a documentary crew spent a night on the island to capture footage of the strange happenings. Their equipment malfunctioned repeatedly, and one of the crew members was heard screaming off camera. When the footage was reviewed, they found unexplained figures moving in the background, shadows that didn't belong to any of the crew. After leaving the island, several crew members reported nightmares and feelings of dread. They claimed that the dolls would appear in their dreams, watching them silently. Some of the crew members even suffered from severe illness upon returning home, though doctors couldn't explain the cause. Many believe that Don Julian's spirit still lingers on the island, guarding the dolls and watching over those who dare to venture into his domain. Others say that the spirits of the dead children are trapped within the dolls, seeking to claim the souls of anyone who dares to take one. The island of the dolls has become one of the most infamous and cursed places in the world, attracting paranormal investigators from all over. These investigators claim that the energy on the island is unlike any they've ever encountered: intense, cold, and oppressive. One ghost hunter who visited the island said he felt a sudden drop in temperature, so cold that his breath became visible in the air. He claimed to have heard whispers in his ear, but when he turned around, no one was there. The island is a popular spot for those seeking to challenge their fears, but those who venture there often leave with more than just memories. Many speak of feeling a presence watching them, as if the dolls are alive and waiting for something. Some say that the dolls know who is worthy of their attention and who is not, deciding who will leave the island unscathed. One tourist claimed that after touching a doll, he felt a cold grip on his wrist and was unable to free himself until he backed away. It's said that the island grows more powerful as it becomes more isolated, and that the spirits trapped within the dolls are growing restless. The curse of the island of the dolls lives on, its chilling presence waiting for the next soul brave enough to set foot on its haunted soil. Despite its grim reputation, the island remains a popular tourist destination, drawing those who seek thrills and the unknown. For those who visit, the question remains: will they leave the island with their souls intact, or will the dolls claim them as their own? The island of the dolls stands as a macabre reminder that some curses are never meant to be broken, and some spirits are never meant to rest. Story 2: The Haunting of Chateau Miranda, Belgium. Chateau Miranda, also known as Chateau de Noisy, stood deep within the forested hills of Celles, Belgium, like a fairy tale turned nightmare. Constructed in 1866 by the Liedkerk-Beaufort family after they fled the French Revolution, the castle was a stunning neo-Gothic mansion filled with ornate turrets and stone gargoyles. But beauty slowly gave way to decay, and grandeur turned to grief. After World War II, the chateau was converted into an orphanage known as Home de Noisy. The once lavish halls echoed with the cries of parentless children, many of whom claimed to see figures in the shadows. The staff dismissed their fears, calling them nightmares, but some began to feel watched as well. Children spoke of a tall man in black who stood at the end of their beds. Others described hearing whispers in the walls, voices that knew their names. One boy went missing for 2 days and was found inside the locked basement, crying and unable to speak. From that point forward, no one was allowed near the basement after sundown. Teachers reported books flying off shelves and chairs shifting in empty rooms. The smell of smoke often filled the hallways despite no fire ever being found. It was said a spirit named Alphonse haunted the West Wing, a boy who died of pneumonia during a harsh winter. He was left unattended in his room for days, discovered only after the snow melted. After the orphanage closed in the 1980s, the chateau fell into ruin. Nature began to reclaim the structure as vines twisted through shattered windows and trees burst through stone floors. Yet it remained strangely preserved, as if something refused to let it die. Urban explorers returned again and again to document the eerie beauty, but many experienced more than just old architecture. One group caught a child's voice on tape saying, "Play with me," Another explorer said he saw a girl in a white dress in the mirror, but not in the room. Photographs revealed faces peering from broken windows no one noticed in person. A visitor claimed his flashlight flickered until it exploded, and he felt hands shove him to the floor. A fog would often appear inside rooms, thick and cold, clouding the air without reason. Candles brought for light would go out all at once, even without wind. The most terrifying story came from a local historian who spent a night documenting the chateau's layout. He never returned, and when police found his camera, it contained hundreds of black photos and one image of him screaming in front of a dark figure. No one could explain the angle. It looked as though someone else had taken it. Locals believe the spirits of abandoned children never left. Some say they wait in the hallways, forever hoping for their parents' return. Others believe the castle is a beacon for lost souls, drawing in the forgotten and the unloved. One former caretaker said he heard lullabies at night and saw tiny handprints on the dusty windows. He resigned after finding dolls placed in a perfect circle on the grand staircase one morning. Despite its deteriorating structure, Chateau Miranda resisted demolition for years. Multiple attempts were halted by freak accidents, cranes failing, tools vanishing, workers falling ill. It was as if the building was fighting to survive. Even when demolition began in 2016, the work was slow and plagued with setbacks. Locals reported screams from the site at night, and some said the castle cried. On the final day, lightning struck the tower, splitting it in half just before it was scheduled to be torn down. A photographer documenting the scene captured an image of a girl standing in the rubble, smiling, though no one else was there. After its final stone was removed, the land went quiet, but not at peace. People hiking nearby report hearing children laughing in the woods where the chateau once stood. Others have seen lights flickering through trees on moonless nights. Some say the outline of the castle still appears in thick fog, visible just for a moment before vanishing. Ghost hunters believe the energy of the chateau was too powerful to be destroyed. They claim it lives on in the soil, in the trees, in the shadows that flicker just out of sight. The haunting didn't end with the walls. It scattered, free now to wander. Locals avoid the area, and even animals grow skittish near the site. A deer was found dead in the center of what used to be the ballroom, its eyes wide in terror. One hiker vanished in 2019, last seen walking the path that once led to the front steps. Search dogs refused to enter the clearing where the chateau once stood. The air there remains unnaturally cold, even in summer. Time seems to bend near the grounds, watches stopping or skipping forward. Psychics who visit often leave trembling, some even faint. One said the land screams in silence, as if mourning something precious and broken. Tourists report dreams of the castle long after leaving, always the same hallway, always the same whisper. Come home. The legend of Chateau Miranda grows each year, not just as a ghost story, but as a living nightmare. It remains etched in the minds of those who've seen it, whether in life or in visions. A castle of shadows, forgotten children, and restless spirits. A place that never wanted to be forgotten and now never will be. Story 1: The Screams of Danvers State Hospital, Massachusetts, USA. Danvers State Hospital once loomed like a haunted castle above the town of Danvers, Massachusetts. Constructed in 1878, its dark Victorian design was meant to symbolize hope in mental health reform. Instead, it became a labyrinth of horror and suffering for the countless patients who entered. Originally intended to house 600 patients, it became dangerously overcrowded with over 2,000 souls. The medical practices that were once seen as cutting-edge devolved into pure cruelty. Lobotomies were common, ice baths were administered with force, and electroshock therapy was routine. Staff reportedly lost control as patients grew in number and unpredictability. The lines between sanity and insanity blurred in those twisted halls. Patients vanished without a trace, and their files were quietly removed or marked closed. Families were left without answers, only a lingering sense of dread. Even the nurses whispered about screams in the night from empty corridors. By the 1960s, rumors circulated of unauthorized experiments and secret tunnels below the building. Security guards refused to patrol certain wings after dark. They spoke of icy drafts, unseen footsteps, and flickering lights that followed them. Local residents claimed to hear howling wind that sounded eerily like crying. Children dared each other to approach the gates but never got too close. In 1992, the hospital closed, leaving behind broken beds, rusted wheelchairs, and shadowed memories. Urban explorers began sneaking in to document its decay, but many left terrified. One explorer captured a photo of a pale woman in a tattered gown floating above the stairs. He swore no one else was in the building at the time. Cameras malfunctioned, batteries drained instantly, and voices whispered through static recordings. Another explorer said he felt hands grab him in a pitch-black hallway. He emerged with scratches down his back and a voice on tape saying, "Don't come back." Some claimed to hear lullabies sung in distant rooms where children were never kept. Chalk drawings would appear overnight on crumbling walls, fresh and childlike. Demolition crews who entered in 2005 before its destruction reported strange accidents. One worker fell through a solid floor and claimed he was shoved. His co-workers heard him scream, "She's angry," before impact. 3 workers quit mid-project, refusing to return. After demolition in 2006, luxury condos were constructed on the land. But strange events continued, often inside units directly above the old main ward. Residents complained of cold spots, doors slamming, and voices in the vents. Children reported seeing a woman in white wandering through their rooms. One girl claimed she couldn't sleep because, "The crying lady stands by my bed." A man saw a handprint on his bathroom mirror after a shower, when he was alone. Plumbers and electricians were frequently called but could never find causes for the malfunctions. A few tenants broke their leases early, citing a bad feeling in the walls. Mediums who visited said the land still held pain and unrest. Some even refused to step foot inside the condos. Locals say the building was cursed even before it was a hospital. It was constructed near the site of the original Salem witch trials. Some believe the suffering of those accused witches lingers in the soil. Combined with the trauma of the hospital, it became a breeding ground for darkness. Today, the luxury buildings look normal on the outside. But inside, something malevolent lurks just beneath the surface. It feeds off fear, silence, and loneliness. Some tenants say they hear scratching from within the walls late at night. Others say mirrors show things that aren't really there. A dog barked endlessly at a closet until it collapsed, foaming at the mouth. One resident left in the middle of the night, never to return. Neighbors later found crosses made of sticks left at their door. Maintenance discovered symbols scratched into the drywall beneath layers of paint. Some appeared freshly carved, despite having no recent tenants. A resident heard humming in the hallway and opened her door to no one. Yet the humming continued, growing louder, then stopping abruptly. Another claimed to hear wheelchairs moving across tile at 3 a.m., even though her unit had carpet and no mobility devices. People who research Danvers say the hospital was doomed from the beginning. The suffering it contained couldn't be erased with bulldozers. It lives on in whispers, shadows, and in the nightmares of those who live there now. The ground beneath the condos has never been blessed or cleansed. Those who try often leave with headaches or sickness. One priest said he felt an overwhelming presence of sorrow and rage. Some believe the spirits of former patients want justice. Others think the hospital itself became a sentient entity, not haunted by people, but by its own cruel past. Danvers doesn't just contain ghosts. It is a ghost, a spiritual echo of every scream, every forgotten soul, and every unfinished story. Its legacy isn't in medical records or photographs. It's in the silence between the walls, the flicker of lights in the hallway, the whisper that calls your name when you're alone. It watches, waits, and it remembers. As we wrap up these 6 terrifying stories from abandoned places, one thing becomes clear. some locations are never truly abandoned. The past doesn't always fade away, and sometimes it lingers, waiting for someone to listen. Whether it's restless souls seeking closure or trapped spirits reliving their final moments, the darkness of these places holds mysteries that are far from solved. Next time you stumble across an old, decaying building, remember these stories, and ask yourself, would you dare step inside? Because some stories are meant to be told, and some places are meant to be haunted.